I want to talk about typography, about the visual appearance of the documents. Why is it good to pay attention to it? I will show you some bad and good examples and provide some basic tips. I will not dive very deep. I will keep it more on the basics side. So maybe most of you are aware of the principles that I will be presenting, but hopefully you will learn something new. Okay, so why is typography important? First of all, especially nowadays when people have shorter and shorter attention span, it's important to conserve readers' attention because I think we all tend to multitask a lot, and we really want to spend as little time as possible looking for the information. So we want to keep the distraction to minimum, and and don't distract the readers with some ugly formatting or some ugly fonts and so on. Also, in this way, the readers can focus on the message, on what they are looking for. And another plus is that the documents look more professional when they are visually appealing. Okay, so, and now I will show some scary examples. For example, this one, where the space between S and E is very very thin, and it offers another meanings of the text. This one, it's a website of a musical school, and in my opinion, it doesn't look very good, even like the background. But the problem from the typographical point of view is that there are some strange fonts, and different fonts are mixed on the website, and it just doesn't look very good. Okay, here is some very unfortunate choice of background color and text color. And this one is really, really scary, that there is some space, some extra space, and the meaning changes quite dramatically. Okay, and some good examples. Here we can see that everything is clear, that the fonts used are similar to each other. And it's also the text is well placed on the site. And another example here, you can notice that the designer used different font sizes to emphasize different parts of the text. So the first line is the most important and gives you the idea what the website is about. Make all the right money moves. And then you can see the rest of the information, and also the fonts are there is a lower contrast between the fonts, so it makes it more clear. So this is like to demonstrate why it's important to pay attention to this. And now let's talk about some basics, basic principles. So when you're choosing a font for your document, you should make sure that it has both bold style and italic style, because some of the fonts they create, for example, italic style automatically, but it's not predefined. So there can be some issues with that. It might not look very good. Also, if you can, it's good to use professional font, because it just makes everything look better, and it requires no extra effort on your side. Of course, the professional fonts are paid, but it's like one-time investment, and you can use it probably forever. And another thing is mixing fonts. So as I already demonstrated in the examples, it's better to keep the number of fonts used to minimum. You should be okay with 2 fonts per document or maximum 3. And it's better if the fonts are more similar to each other. So lower contrast is better than higher contrast. And I also provided some common fonts that are better avoided. So it's Comic Sans for sure, Arial and Verdana, and other system fonts that are overused, and yeah, they are just not the best option.
So it is not the best option because they are everywhere, or
yeah, mostly because they are overused, and it's like yeah, it doesn't make the document look special or unique. I mean, it doesn't have to be unique for technical documentation, but it's still better to use some better fonts than this one. Okay, point size. Here it's important to know if you are writing a document that is going to be printed, or if you are writing for web. For print, you should stick to 10 to 12 points, and for web, the guidelines is between 15 to 25 pixels, which is 11.25 to 18.75 points. Mostly 12 points is the standard, which is quite okay, but sometimes you can use even smaller size, and it's still legible, and you can save some space on the page. Okay, line spacing and line length. So line spacing is the distance between 2 lines, and the optimal value here is somewhere between 120 and 145%. You can later go through the presentation actually, and try it for yourself. Experiment a bit with your document, and change these values, and you will see how the text renders. And actually you could really see that if you choose line spacing, for example, of 100%, it's the text will be very will fit very closely together. And if you choose a higher number, it will be too loose, and it will not look very nice. Of course, there are situations where you can use those, but mostly it's better to stick to this range. The line length is optimally between 45 and 90 characters. So it also is influenced by the point size and also by the page margin. It usually or very often you can see the page margin set to 1 inch, which is around 2.5 centimeters. But it's better to make the page margin a bit better, a bit greater, because what it helps you achieve is that the lines are shorter, and when you're reading text, the eye has to travel a shorter distance from the end of one line to the beginning of next line, and it's easier to keep track of your progress. You will not get lost as much. Okay, moving on. Okay, this is my favorite topic: hyphens and dashes. So the most important thing here is to understand the context where these three variants are used. So hyphen is used for breaking word at the end of a line. So that's usually done automatically by the word processor. You can also turn off this feature, but then you might get either shorter lines when you I forgot how it's called. Like when you have left, no, not indent, but when you justify left, then you can get shorter lines. Or when you justify in block, then you might get wide spaces between words. So yeah, I suggest you just keep it enabled, the word breaking. So hyphen is used there, also in some multi-part words, such as cost-effective, and in phrasal adjectives, like technical writer's job. The correct form is with hyphen. A different is n dash, which is used in a range of values, and also in connection, or when demonstrating connection or contrast. And m dash has a similar function as comma, but it is stronger and weaker than colon, semicolon, or parenthesis. And I also recommend to use m dash when appropriate, because it looks more professional, and it can really change the meaning a little bit. It's different than comma, so it definitely has its place in the text. And one more thing about dashes is that in English they are used without spaces, which is actually a difference from Czech. In Czech, the n dash. Okay. This could be a little bit confusing. So first of all, in Czech, there is no M dash, the long one. We don't use it at all. And instead of that, as a punctuation mark, we use the shorter N dash. And when it serves as a punctuation mark, it has spaces around it in Czech. And when it serves to demonstrate range of values, it doesn't have spaces. So that's a little bit complicating the difference between English and Czech. So again, in English, no spaces. In Czech, there are spaces around N dash when it's used as a punctuation mark. Okay, and some other tips. Kerning is a feature when some pairs of letters are fit closer together, and to save space, and also because it just looks better when the text is rendered. So if you have the option to enable or disable it, you should always use it. Bold and italic styles are used for emphasis, but of course it's not good to style longer parts of text in this way. So yeah, use it sparingly. And never use underline for emphasis. Actually, that's one of a habit from history. When people used typewriting machines, they just used underscores to emphasize certain parts of the text. But nowadays, when we are using word processors, we don't need to use this style, and it's better to stick to bold and italic. Okay, and what about white space characters? Actually, I like to always show all the formatting characters, or yeah, like the white space characters. Because, for example, I can discover double spaces, unintentional double spaces, or other formatting errors. And it's more clear to me how the text is rendered and why it is rendered in this way. So for example, if you're working with MS Word, it can be quite useful to show these and have a better idea why the text is shown in the way it is shown. And one more thing here is the non-breaking space, which should be used with numbers, physical units, and other occasions where you want to prevent awkward line breaks. So, for example, if you have if you write 200 kilometers with the unit km, and there is the number on the end of one line and the unit on the beginning of the other line, it just doesn't look good. So in that case, you should use a non-breaking space. I noticed that in Microsoft Word, not very long time ago, they have implemented a feature that inserts the non-breaking space, but it doesn't work 100% correctly. I'm actually not sure how it works exactly, but I noticed that For example, in Czech language, you should put a non-breaking space after each one letter word, like the prepositions and conjunctions, but it doesn't do this with all the one letter words. So you should still pay attention to it, and if it's necessary, just add the non-breaking space yourself.
And
yeah,
Mira,
and
you have only 2 minutes, right? So I just
okay.
warning.
The time flies so fast. Okay, thanks for reminding. Okay, so I will just go through this quickly. You can then go through the presentation yourself. So you should always use curly quotes instead of straight quotes. Normally, if you press the relevant key, it should write a curly quote. The apostrophe is also curly. It's the same character as closing single quote. Also, if possible, use the symbols for trademark, registered mark, and copyright instead of the alphabetic variants. The 4-point here is actually you can't see the difference here, but the first one is ellipsis. So that's when you make 3 dots with just one, like one character, and the other one is just 3 dots. So also, if you want to use ellipsis, just use ellipsis, not 3 dots. The other one, 100%, is just to demonstrate that the percentage symbol should fit to the number without space. And slash, using slash should be also without space. Only when you're separating multiple words compounds, maybe more clear with spaces before and after slash, like in the example below. Yeah, okay, I will not explain it now. I hope it's clear. Yeah, and actually that's it. Here are the resources. The first one is where I took most information, and I highly recommend going through this book. It's called Practical Typography, and it's very nicely written. It's very in-depth. There are many more topics covered. So yeah, I recommend this one. And I also mentioned 2 popular style guides. Chicago Style Guide is for American English, and EU Style Guide is for British English. So you can choose whichever you like more, or whichever suits your need more. You should always know if you're writing in British English or American English.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Thanks for your attention.
Lena has a question. So Lena, yeah, I think you can.
Okay, Miro, I wanted to ask if you know about any interesting typographic tools which could be, for example, used as plugins, maybe into some common.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say typesetting systems, but I wanted to count word that that's not really a typesetting system.
Actually, I'm not using any tools. Do you know about any?
Actually, not really. Some major typographic systems or tools specialized in typesetting have strong support for these typographic rules. But what I had in mind is tools that would have automation for for text that is single sourced. And I'm asking because I'm interested in developing innovations in typography. So I was just curious if you knew about anything that would have automation options. And I'm not talking about automatic correction in Microsoft Word.
Yeah, I see.